of all the things I could feel and pick and look back at my personal history, I would say there's some magical qualities. You know, Seth talks about the magical self. And I'm in touch with that, as many of you all are. So this is what I came up with, and it feels right.
When we tune into that deeper, that level, that more expansive level, you know, there's a sense of love, and there's a sense of joy, and there's a sense of spiritual awakening that we don't really understand, you know, in day-to-day life, and we don't experience it in our traditional world where we're operating, you know, within four walls, behind the desk, you know, at a computer, with you know, using cell phones and technology. This is beyond technology. This is beyond cell phones. This is beyond, you know, the like I said, the five senses.
We weren't just talking about this or talking about that or giving information about this and being in the head, but we were doing experiences and meditations or bringing people in who would actually be able to give experiences to people and to touch their lives in real ways and display their gifts. And that was always my orientation toward the group.
We all come from the goddess, and to her we shall return like a drop of rain, flowing to the ocean. We all come from the goddess, and to her we shall return.
I had an experience with the president of the organization, Amy Bortner-Gianluca. She was channeling the angel Escordia, and she does, at the end of the channeling, she does these tones. The angel makes tones come out of her mouth, and every atom in my body vibrated from the tones. And ever since then, I've been more intuitive.
Teenager, people were freaked out by it, and I stopped talking about it. And I recovered it about 20 years ago when a friend who was taking psychic development classes, bless her, she's not here tonight, said she was channeling away, and she picked up a quartz crystal that was sitting with us, and she plopped it in my hands, and she said, "It's your turn." And it was all over the screen at that point. And the next thing I knew, there were words flowing out of my mouth, and this stone was talking to me. And since then, everywhere I go, stones, trees, you name it, there's just this wave of, "It's a live one, talk to her, she'll tell people what we're saying." So that's kind of my experience. And in the past year or so, I've gotten really, really loud about this, because Gaia said, you need to be really loud about this.
Several of us started talking about bringing different kinds of programs because, again, their emphasis before was on channeling. And so I just feel that since then, the momentum of the society has really picked up, and we've been continuous. We've been consistent. And I've seen the audiences expand. Not for every program, because there, as Jim had pointed out, some people come for some programs and not for others because they're very selective about what it is that they're interested in. But I think that the momentum of the New Hope Metaphysical Society as a whole has really grown over the last year.
I like that there's a variety of disciplines that are represented. I do enjoy that. I particularly like the galleries where, you know, the mediums come in and they give messages from spirit. That's very nice.
It's a little book. I don't know what this book is. It's a little red book. I look in it and I thought it said Saint Teresa on it, of Avila. Any connection to that? Interesting. It's a little prayer book, but it's not the regular Bible. And she has all these words in it. I think she's one of your guides. And I don't know anything about her, to be honest with you, but she says, let's see if I can get this, your safety or your grounding or your purpose is to find ecstasy, which is a strange message, because you would think ecstasy takes you off the ground, but actually for you, it will help you to be here stronger, because there's been difficulty being on this planet for you.
The channelings have just been very profound, and I've been to some channelings where I've, particularly Escordia, who Amy channels, is a beautiful, loving spirit, and loving presence, and I've always felt an embrace whenever Amy has channeled Escordia, and that's that really touches me. I really feel a sense of returning to something or connecting with something that feels familiar and feels very loving and welcoming. And you know, there's always something. I can't say there's one particular incident, but I can say that each time I've been to some of the different events, meetings that we have, I've been impressed with the level of information and the depth of where people share in terms of their abilities to connect with that which is beyond the ordinary. And I really feel each meeting has been very, very moving for me.
Something, but the fires were kept going by the people who kept coming, a core group of people, and again we opened up to different kinds of format and interests, rather than just sticking, with one or two, focuses, which ends up being dogmatic, and I hate dogma.
Yeah, we encourage free thinking, basically, and encourage questioning authority and questioning the conventional authority, and trying to look into your own inner authority, which is really what your spiritual growth is about, is understanding that you do have a spiritual authority, that you have a soul, you have a higher self. You are connected to a soul family, ultimately up to God. God is all that is. So along the way, there's all kinds of resources and information and support and advice and counsel that you can tap into. And channeling is one way of tapping into that source. But people can trust just their own intuition. They can get a little more involved and get more psychic, or they can start to channel, or whatever. They can become inspired and become very creative. And then it's important also to network, with each other, so that we know that we're not alone in this path, that many, many, many of us now are on this path of opening up to our own spiritual, identity. And religion may or may not serve us as much as it had in the past. There's too much pedagogy, too much corruption, too much dogma. People are looking for a much more broader, expansive point of view, which we hope to present, through the New Hope Metaphysical Society.
not being afraid to move into the intuitive self. That America, being a materialistic country and a very rationalistic oriented country, is a very left-brained country. And so often there's a little war going on between the left brain and the right brain. And so artists and people who are intuitives, really, it's becoming better. It's starting to integrate. But I would just like to suggest to people that this group has kind of always been a little bit on the cutting edge, as this church has been, some other organizations I've been, and to not be afraid to open to that space inside oneself that is more intuitively oriented and has much deeper connections to all that is around us, and particularly that is unseen. And to not just trust, your belief system or your intellect or what you can see with your eyes or your senses. Bhagavad Gita talks, of course, a great deal about that. Most spiritual books talk a great deal about that. Don't rely on your senses. It's only a teeny fraction.
Yeah.